Welcome back to Attitude, Effort, Results. I am your guest host, Hunter Arbogast. Today we are presented by Teamwork Online and the Clubhouse. And man, is this going to be an impactful message. Everybody's probably wondering what in the world is going on. I don't recognize this host if you're watching us on video. That's because we have our founder, our host, Tanner Natzke, as our guest today. And I'm so excited for the word he has to share for us, guys. We're going to give some praise to Tanner to start. He's very, very humble. He is the Energizer Bunny. He's what makes this Attitude, Effort, Results family function at the high level it does. But I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to him. I want to allow Tanner to not only kick us off, but introduce a new step in his journey in his career and where that is leading him. A little bit of a hint. We got almost a Carolina blue on here, so you can see on video. I want to kick it over to Tanner and let him elaborate on what's on the horizon for him in his next journey.
I appreciate you kicking it over, Hunter. We're going to have some fun today, guys. We are going to have some fun. I'm on the opposite side of the table being interviewed, and so we're going to have some fun. For me, Callie and I chose to take a step of faith, take a leap of faith for family in this journey that we call life, and we will actually be moving to North Carolina to work for the football team out in Carolina. And so very excited for us. We have proven that we move and that our careers are important. Today, I'm actually going to talk a little bit about how I had to take a step back. I had to let my ego take a step back, take a back seat to what we are doing here in life. And so I'm excited to walk through it today, but that is the news. That is the fun, exciting step. Callie and I will be moving out to North Carolina. We have some family out there. We have some friends out there. And so it'll be a good move for us personally and professionally. As I step into a role, I put a new tool in the tool belt, and we'll walk through a little bit of that today. But as we start off today, that is the purpose of the conversation today, is to explain the situation. A lot of these conversations happen behind closed doors. Hunter, when you went through it, it was quick. My process has actually been pretty drawn out. And so we'll go through all of that. We'll be very real, very raw today. This is content that nobody else is going to be giving you. And this is coming directly after the decision is made. It has been less than 7 days from when the decision was made. We're actually, the time that we're recording this, almost exactly about 7 days out from when the decision was made. So very real, very fresh. We're going to dive into it with you guys today.
Well, Tanner, I'm so proud of you, brother. I know this has been one heck of a journey. As you mentioned, compared to the situation that I had, it was quick, right? It's been very drawn out for you, and I'm blessed to be along this process with you. As we start to set the stage and the table for our audience, as we're going to be real and raw and provide actionable steps for them as they maybe navigate a path like this, tell me, how was Carolina even put on your radar? How did these conversations even come about? I know we've had conversations in regards to an interview that we had very, very early on in our process. I want you to elaborate. How did Carolina come on the radar? How did this opportunity even present itself? And that goes back to how we talk about preparing since day one, putting yourself in rooms you don't belong in. We were, in fact, in a room we didn't belong in a podcast studio. So I'd love for you to set that up on a tee and describe how that even came about.
Yeah, so the reason we're going to Carolina is one man, really. We talk about relationships and how impactful they are in this industry specifically. It's one man. His name is Eric Sudol. He was a guest on the podcast. He was an SVP over at the Cowboys. He's now the chief revenue officer over at the Carolina Panthers out in North Carolina. He's the reason why we are even having this conversation. And to set the stage for everybody listening, a key piece for us, we had an opportunity to go and get Eric on the podcast. He agreed to it. We could have done a regular Zoom. Which we've done with everybody else, and it works. And that's what we're doing here today, a regular Zoom, right? Hunter and I decided with a high-level person like Eric, we were going to go above and beyond. We were going to rent out a podcast studio. So we actually took some of our own personal money, rented out a podcast studio that we had really no business being in. I didn't understand anything. We had a camera guy. We had lights. We had everything. And if you go and watch the episode, it looks very good. I'm not going to lie. It looks great. The video and audio are phenomenal. And so that was part of the process to start, because when we went there, we prepared, we were buttoned up. That might have been the most over prepared I've ever been for an episode because of the caliber of individual he is. He then saw something in me. About a year and a half later, he reaches out, says, oh, by the way, I'm taking a chief revenue officer position. I want you on my team. The craziest part about this, I didn't submit a business plan. I didn't submit a resume. He said, listen, I've had a conversation with you on an interview and a couple others previously, a couple other text message after. I trust you. I know from other people, from what they've told me, that you're that type of guy. And again, I'm going to come from a humble standpoint. I'm going to get knocked down a level or two today. I know that. But to start off, he was like, hey, you are that guy. We want you out here. And because of the preparation that we did for the podcast episode with him, that is one of the major reasons why Callie and I are going to be moving across the country again.
Well, it's a testament to your character, but it's also practicing what we preach. Attitude, effort, results. We talk about the discipline. We talk about cultivating relationships. We talk about being intentional and sending a handwritten note. Not only the story that I have moving to Buffalo to work for Legends, but now your story moving to North Carolina is proof that in the pudding, right? Like what we do, what we practice, what we preach, it works. So I'm very, very excited that you were here to share this story and very, very proud of you, brother. I want to dive into what you alluded to already as you're navigating this path. You're talking about taking the next step, making sure that your career move aligns not only with what you want for your future, but also for your personal life. And I know that's been a journey. It's been a challenge. We have to make sure we set our ego aside and ultimately decide what's best for us. I know with us both being strong Christians, being strong in our faith, at the end of the day, we are here to serve. We believe we're here to serve. We want to help others. We want to not push our faith onto others, but as we grow and as we're professionals, that is our realm. I would love for you to dive in your decision-making process and how you've leaned on faith to set aside your ego and be part of God's plan and his path for you.
Yeah, so I got a fun story. This is a really cool story. Again, I'm never going to push faith, but I am going to tell my story, tell the story that is given to me. So this process has taken a while. It's been 2.5 or 3 months because of confidential information. I'm not going to share all of the details because I respect the organization I'm going to work for and the one that I'm leaving. And so to make a long-term short, the opportunity came to me as a major career growth opportunity. Skipping a couple steps in my career, it was a no-brainer to take this opportunity. And right at the end of the process, that opportunity, from what had been communicated to me, was actually going to be a sideways step in my career instead of a massive career growth from what I had thought. And that's the key part. From what I had thought, from what I had perceived, from what I thought others were going to think of me, because I had to take a little step back, look at my ego and say, I actually did care a little bit about title. I've been telling everybody I haven't, but when it came down to it, I was like, you know what? I've been at the front my entire career. I've been running from the front my entire career. And I wanted to continue to run from the front. So when the opportunity came that it wasn't actually a promotion on paper, it wasn't actually a massive step forward, it was just a sideways one, that was a big ego hit. I got gut punched and I felt it. And I wrestled with God for 48 hours in the trenches, deep, dark in the well. This is where we practice what we preach. I remember being in that well 7 days ago and feeling a lot of pain, feeling a lot of weight. I would come home and my wife was like, you gotta make a decision. We have to go through this because I can see the weight on you. I would go to leaders and I'd be calling people and talking to people. And at the end of the day, all of that is important. I go through my decision matrix. All of that is very important and led me to the opportunity to take this role. However, I had to take a step back and really figure out what was important to me. My deepest why, my deepest rooted why is so I can serve others because Christ served us. And I now have an opportunity to do that with my family. I now have an opportunity to put my wife near her family. Her family is about an hour and 15 minutes north. My sister, who is one of my best friends, we are 18 months apart. We haven't lived next to each other in a decade, and I have an opportunity to be about 2.5 hours from her and her husband. My first cousin is also going to be about 2.5 hours away. Callie's first cousins will be about an hour and a half south. And so this isn't a decision that we had to make ultimately based on what was really important to us. Now, I have gone from Iowa to Miami over here to Phoenix for the career. I've moved my wife across the country twice now for my career. And yes, the first step that we made, she went to school down in Miami. And yes, the second step we made was at the end of it, a great career opportunity for her to start her career out here in not Miami. But it was for the career. That was one of the reasons we moved, the main reason we moved, right? And so to take a step back and to say, it's not about me, that's tough. I was in tears, all for 48 hours. And it's tough to sit back and look at all the career growth that I've had and look at all the people I've talked to and all the opportunities I've been given. And here in Phoenix, I had a career growth opportunity that might not have been a major step up today, but it was going to get me to a CRO position or a president of a team a lot faster. And so to take a step back and to say it's not about how fast you get there, it's really not about the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It is the rainbow. It is the journey in this industry. We are not guaranteed to live in a place for longer than a year or two. And we probably won't retire in Charlotte, right? But to be close to family for the next at least 4 or 5 years and to build a life out there was the overwhelming factor that we needed to go out there. And God pushed us in that direction. And he was very clear about it towards the end.
Oh, man. I'm often on the other side of the camera and I hear you talk about these goosebumps you get and these chills when you're talking to people. I'm experiencing that myself today, brother. Very, very powerful message. It's amazing because how we operate, we run so fast. You just said 48 hours and glazed over it like it was nothing. And at this point, between our stories, we might have to make t-shirts that are attitude effort results 48 hours because that keeps coming back around. Something about 48 hours. I want to dive back into that because remove yourself from the situation being so fresh here so we can elaborate for the audience. 48 hours. 48 hours. We're talking from a Friday to a Sunday after church. And I know there was one piece that really stood out to you. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. Dive into those 48 hours, dive into how you were in the well and you embrace the suck, as Tanner Natzke would say. You embrace the suck. Dive into that for me in those 48 hours and how that verse kind of helped you make a decision and tie a nice bow and make you at peace with the Lord.
Yeah, well, let's go back a little bit. I was in this world where the CRO of an NFL franchise and the vice president who was going to be my direct boss had communicated at the time that I was going to have this massive career growth. I was going to have people underneath me. There was no ill intent. Clearly, I'm going to work for them. I trust them a lot. There was miscommunication along the way, and that's okay. That happens. So Callie and I had built up to go. We had built up that we were ready to go because this opportunity came as soon as the ball was in our court, which it had not been for 2.5 months. As soon as it was in our court, the horses were ready. We'd walk them to the stalls. We just had to open the gates and let them run, right? And so, if I'm a listener right now, put yourself in my shoes just for a little bit of like, you're going to go skip 2 or 3 steps in your career. You would have worked for 6 or 8 years to get an opportunity. You get headhunted, a cell phone call from a CRO of an NFL team, and all of a sudden you're waiting for one phone call at noon. One phone call. And I get the phone call and they say, hey, here, we're going to lay some expectations. This actually, it's not the role that you thought. We're going to have you come over. We're going to have you sell this new stadium build. And you're going to be a killer. You're going to be one of 5, but it's not the role that we had been talking about for 2.5 months. Gut punch. Sickness. I felt sick. I felt nauseous. And those were real feelings. I was actually on the golf course with my VP and one of my teammates at the time. So it's like really tough to have, it was a Friday at noon. I was on the golf course and I feel sick to my stomach. And it's nobody's fault but my own because I had put myself in that position. I had worked myself up. I probably missed a couple questions along the way of the process to get clear expectations. That's 100% my fault. So from that time at noon on Friday, I went into a deep, dark well like we talked about. I texted, now at this point, my circle's really tight. My circle is you, it's Logan Burnett, it's Ash Panakamati. That's my circle, and my wife. That's it. Nobody else has any say in it because the ball's finally in my court. And so I text Logan and Ash, and Logan, a man of faith who was my roommate in Miami, texted me Jeremiah 29:11. Like, the plans are already set. God already has the script written. So don't be frustrated. Don't be worryful. Don't be stressful. And I'm sitting on the golf course reading that text like, that's great. But I don't know what those plans say. That's awesome that they're written. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. That's great. But what are they? We don't know what they are. That's frustrating. That's sickening. That made me nauseous. So we come home, and now we're getting God pouring into us. And I sit on the couch, and Callie actually asks me from my breathwork session, hey, that 5-year-old self, what would they want you to do? Another powerful moment. I'm bawling my eyes out sitting right there on my couch. And Callie's like, what would the 5-year-old self be saying right now? I'm like, he would be proud. He would be really proud. And he would say, it's probably time to get back to family because you haven't lived next to your sister for 10 years. And you've moved your wife around the country a couple times. Oh, I knew it was going to be emotional. But it came quicker today. And so it's a powerful moment. And I'm wrestling with myself because I kind of know the right answer is family and faith, but I kind of have been working my butt off for a career move, and I really don't know. And so I wake up on Saturday morning, I go to the gym, and I truly believe I was talking with God that morning, and God was like, it's good to go. Like, you can go. Put your career aside and go. So I come back, I crawl in bed with my wife. I say, hey, we can go. We're ready. Let's do it. Let's go. So I go to work on Saturday. I sell about $125,000 in membership. Just throw it out there. Have a great day at work. 8-hour day on Saturday. We work, come back, talk with COO of the Cardinals, faith-driven individual. Talk with CRO of the Carolina Panthers again. Widen my circle a little bit to get outside opinions. I come back Saturday night, and I told Callie, I said, I can't go. I'm like, I can't do it. I have worked so hard to put myself in a position where here in Phoenix, I get to learn from one of the best in the business, and I will get promoted here. I can't leave. I'm sorry. I know I told you this morning that we were good to go. I can't do it. Sorry. She's like, okay, ask a couple questions. She's like, all right, let's sleep on it. We'll go to church in the morning. So we go to church. I can ask her right now, but I don't think we talked on the way to church on Sunday morning because she was frustrated because I just told her we were going to leave, right? And I'm feeling all of this weight. I'm feeling the weight of maybe I'm pulling my wife away from family. Now it's all on me. Like, there's all the outside factors are great, but I'm feeling so much pressure, so much weight on this decision. And, am I choosing my wife over my career? Am I choosing my career over my wife? Like, I am heavy, heavy, heavy. And we get to church, and the sermon title is God's Will. Hilarious. One of the first verses that goes up on the screen is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. So, naturally, as a German farm kid, I start crying. I bawled my eyes out. All church. I could not stop crying in church. Whenever I would stop, tears would dry, more would come. I've never felt convicted by the Lord that much in my entire life. And Cal reached over at one point and said, why are you crying? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just like, it's all this emotion and this weight and this pressure just building and building and building. And I'm crying and crying. And so we leave, and Callie was taking notes during church. And I'm going to wrap up the story here because it's pretty good. She's taking notes during church, and Callie expresses her emotions, deep emotions, by writing them out. And I respect her for sticking to that, and I've understood that throughout time. And so we gave her probably 20 minutes. I went out and played catch with my cousin after church. We gave her about 20 minutes to write. She writes about 3 pages of notes for me based on the sermon title and based on this decision, because at the end of the day, one of the things the sermon said too is like, God's will is not frustrating. And so the ball's in our court For this decision to loom, we talk about 48 hours, for this decision to loom for a week or two or three was not going to be good for anybody. The facts don't change. Now it's time to make a decision and go. I'm going to make the best of both decisions. I'll be fine in my career either way because of who I am and who God's made me to be. But it's time to make a decision. And so when we get home from church, Callie writes that letter. I come upstairs, read the letter, clearly crying again. I mean, it's my wife writing to me. And one of the first couple lines that she wrote was, I took these notes during church. As I'm rereading them and writing them to you, I don't remember what I wrote. Everything that's on the paper right now is God's words. I don't remember what I wrote, but this is what I feel like God is telling me to tell you. Here it is. And she lays it out. 3 pages, a very deep, emotional, this is my wife. This is God talking through my wife. How powerful is that? And so obviously I'm crying at the time when I'm reading it. If I'm crying now, I walk outside and I go, I look my wife in the eye. I said, I choose you. I choose family. God's pushing us out there. I don't want to. Selfishly, I kind of want to stay and grow my career. But God's telling us to move, and so we're going to move. And so the last part of the story is I get back in bed, and I have this devotional next to my bed that I'm supposed to read every single night. And
This
so
is wild. This part's
beginning
wild.
of the
This
year,
is wild. God's very funny. God is very funny.
He is hilarious. He really is. At the beginning of the year, one of my goals was to read consistently, and that came in the form of a devotional every single night before bed. It takes 2 minutes tops, minute and a half if I'm fast reading, 2 minutes if I'm reading slow. I have been reading page. There's no dates on the book. It's just like it's a yearly book, and you just flip to the next page. I hadn't read in about 3 months. Callie's brushing her teeth, getting ready. I sat down. I'm like, well, God was pretty much talking to me today. I should probably dive into his word a little bit more. Let me open my devotional up, and we'll get back into that habit. You guys probably can feel the end of the story. And it's right out of a movie because God is real, and he does work in crazy ways. The first page I opened to is Jeremiah 29:11. As confirmation, I had gone through this battle. I had wrestled with God for so long. I had wrestled with myself. I had wrestled with my wife. I had wrestled with my emotions. And God confirmed that's the next step. And so it's a faith-driven decision about family. And I sit up here and I preach career. I preach it. But this is an opportunity that we had that if we took this opportunity because of a career move, it would have been about me. It would have been about Tanner. But now that it's a sideways move, which again is still going to be a positive for my career, I'm putting a new tool in the belt, which is I can talk about later. But this is a faith-driven decision. And when God says move, we move. And so that's what we're doing.
I'm so proud of you, brother. I am so proud of you to be part of this process. I'm honored to see your growth that you've had in this past month. I'm honored. Talk about this tough German farm kid who doesn't cry, and I think I've seen you cry more today than I ever have the whole time I've known you, brother. But it's real, right? And it's raw, and that's why we wanted to, have me be the goofy host today and interview you because this message is very powerful and needs to be shared with others. And I'm so impressed with the vulnerability that you have. I'm so impressed with who you are as a person and your character. And you and I strive to be faith-driven leaders. When we're leading a team someday, we're going to be a faith-driven leader. And it's amazing how you talk about wrestling back and forth and I'm this way and then I'm that way and changing your decision within 12 hours and then falling back on the Lord just to be vulnerable and understand it's his plan. And then we talk about him being so funny, how he keeps throwing that same verse right back in your face. It's all to his plan. And I love that story. I mean, you haven't read the devotional in 3 months and it's
3
right
months.
there again. I want to kind of do a segue here into something that's not so heavy because I feel like we've been very, very heavy and I want to be a little bit more joyful here. I want to know, you hinted at it a little bit here, living closer to your family, your sister, cousins, being there closer for Callie's family. I want to know, when you pack up and get ready to head to North Carolina, what are you most excited for? Like, what is something that you really feel called to? What's something that you're most excited for as we turn to Carolina?
Yeah, I think new adventures are so exciting. New adventures are very exciting. This condo right now, pretty much the only thing that's still in its place is this backdrop because of today. Like, that's pretty much it. Everything else is ready to rock, and it's a new and exciting adventure. And I had listened to a podcast the other day from a high level individual, and they said by your 40s you get burnt out, and it's because of what you're doing. It's because you're not learning, you're not growing at all. And so there's two things for me. One, we have to now learn how to be close to family. That's going to be different. I haven't done that in a decade. I haven't lived close to family since high school. And so I'm going to have to learn how to do that, because now we travel a lot. We like to keep ourselves busy and experience this life God gave to us. Well, now we have to value in more family time, because it used to be once a quarter we would fly there, they would fly here. That might be once a weekend now, right? They're going to have higher expectations. All of our family is, because we're closer and we haven't been close in a while. And so that's going to be a path that we have to navigate. And I'm excited to navigate that, because it's new, it's fresh. It's something that we now get to do. I was talking with one of my directors, and he said, would you rather go on a sales meeting and go sell a suite, whether it's here or there, or would you rather go to your nieces and nephews' T-ball game and watch them run around as a 4 or 5 year old? Like, you now get that opportunity. Now, I don't think my sister is close to having kids. I don't think we're close to having kids. But that's something that puts it in perspective. So I'm very excited about that. Career-wise, because again, I think this is a business podcast focused on the sports industry. I think I'm very excited to put a tool in my tool belt. Saturday, when I was talking to the CEO of the Cardinals, one of the things he said, not every step of my career was a step up. Some of it was just to get one more tool, just one. And so the one tool that I don't have currently is MLS. I don't have any soccer experience. Now, I'm not saying that you need every league to get to where you want to be. I'm on my way. I'm very close. Like, I'm getting there. I'm getting real close to putting all of them into my tool belt. But the MLS, I've never worked in it. That's going to be different. It's a different crowd. It's a different demographic. In a stadium build, you're doing it now. The Panthers are going to be renovating their entire stadium themselves. They're not going to bring in a company like Legends. And so a tool that you have right now, that you have told me over 90 days of being in Buffalo, has exponentially grown you. I don't have yet. And so I'm going to get to put that tool in my belt and get to understand there's going to be 4 or 5 of us that are going to have to go over 3 or 4 years, sell a significant amount of money. I don't want to say it out loud because it's confidential. It's a lot of money. The renovation is $800 million. Suites are a good portion of that. There's going to be 4 or 5 of us that got to go do it, right? And so that's going to be an opportunity where you can't fail. Like, this is an opportunity I cannot go fail. There's no failing in a project like this, of this scope, of almost $1 billion. And it's going to be on the shoulders of less than 10 men and women. You can't fail. There's no option. And so I'm very excited for that. It was time here, and I this is something I have stood on and I will stand on. When growth opportunities come, like, you better be ready to go and prepare yourself. For me, I was ready to take a next step in my career, because the decision was not to take a next step in my career elsewhere or to stay stagnant. I think that's important. It was to either take a step in my career here in Phoenix or there, because where I was right now, I'm not saying I'm done growing. I'm never done growing. I'm ready to learn a new skill. And so now I get to go learn a new skill. So those are the two things, again, on the career side and on the family side, that I'm very excited for. And we got to build towards it. I'm not ready to go out and be one of 5 that is going to go sell a good portion of $800 million. I'm not there yet, right? And so it's time to go learn. It's time to jump back into to reading, to learning the sales process, to going back and understanding that, all while now navigating a family aspect that's close to us.
Right. And I love how you phrase it, adding another tool to your tool belt. And going back to how we think God is hilarious on paper, and I know you struggled with this, whether it's the title or the lateral move, call it what it is, right? Long term, the potential in Charlotte could be immaculate, right? And I think that's part of God's plan. It's like, Tanner, trust me in this process. Trust me, be where your feet are right now. Go crush it in that role. And who knows, 3 years from now, you might look back and go, you know what? Yeah, this is exactly where I needed to be. The growth that I've experienced these past 3 years because I've touched MLS, because I've touched a new stadium build. You don't get that type of opportunity everywhere, right? I mean, something crazy. Let's do a little fun fact here. I'm trying to think. Tanner Natzke is going to have all the time zones and the major sports leagues. Other cut out NHL, I
Yep.
guess. But before you're 30, come on, man! Like, isn't that crazy? That's nuts. So it's exciting to see the growth. I think that long term the vision is there. I want to take a step back. I want to kind of turn the dial a little bit here for you, Tanner, because we're real, we're raw, we're transparent about our processes. We're talking about God's plan. We're talking about the excitement of Carolina. I want to take a step back and talk about Phoenix. I want to talk about where you're at currently before we move. I know we've caught up, and I did a similar process where you have dinners with friends. You make sure you tie a nice bow on things. We're transparent. We want to be real and raw. What is Tanner Natzke doing before he leaves Phoenix to make sure he is happy with leaving, to make sure he feels in a good spot? What is something that, as a true professional like yourself, somebody should be doing to make sure they can kind of put a nice bow on the organization in the city before they leave?
Yeah, I think there's two ways to go about it. You can go kicking and screaming, or you can go out in arms of praise. And I think everybody would rather go out in arms of praise, but there's some tough conversations that are happening right now. And I'm in some conversations that are really uncomfortable surrounding money. Money's pretty important. Moving across the country with my wife, but also for the organization here, they probably don't want to pay a guy that's not going to work for them anymore, right? And so there's some tough conversations that are happening right now. And so far, they're not going my way. And I can go into those conversations kicking and screaming, yelling and shouting what I think I deserve, what I think is owed to me. That doesn't help anybody, because the leaders in that room I trust. The leaders in that room, I was ready. Saturday night when I came back to Cal, I was ready to go to battle for them. I was ready to put both feet in and go to work. And those are really good leaders here. I have really good leaders here. That's what made this decision so tough. I actually wish they kind of sucked, so I could have just been like, cool, let's go. But they're not. And I enjoy it here. I really enjoy living here. And so one of the things that I'm doing is having really tough conversations and walking into them. Because you can also be a coward about it and just be like, F you, I'm leaving. That's just not who I am. And so walking into tough conversations is a massive part of what I'm doing. And I'm having those consistently with the highest level of leaders across the board. I've talked with every C-level exec, every VP. Like, I am walking into conversations. And the first thing I did was make sure I had those conversations in person, if you can, right? So I actually, when we made the decision on Sunday, I texted all my leaders and I was like, hey, I want some time. The CEO here is real. He's one of the best C-level execs I've ever been around. He texted me in 2 minutes. Let's get on a call right now. Let's talk. I got you. You're my guy. Let's go. And I texted him. I said, hey, I respect that. I want to have this conversation in person. I feel that that's more valuable. He said, cool. Within 5-10 minutes, I had a calendar time booked on Monday morning with him. Actually, it was Monday afternoon because I was out Monday morning. So having tough conversations in person is number one. The second, I did not do this in Miami, but I'm going to take a book out of your playbook and or a page out of your playbook. I'm writing everybody handwritten notes. So I already have all my leaders' notes written, and I'm going to start trickling down to team members. And I'm going to make sure that people know why I'm leaving. And that's not because I want people to know why I'm leaving or because I want to walk out on praises and people's arms or anything like that. It's because God gave us a platform. God gave us a story. This story is about him. It's not about me. And so some people just leave, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no right or wrong way to do it. However, I have some really good relationships from Miami, and I can go back to that well at any point because I closed the door. You can do the same in Arizona. I'm going to do the same here, right? And so I'm going to have tough conversations. I'm going to tell people why we are leaving and praise the organization on the way out because they gave me an opportunity to grow personally and professionally more in 2 years than I have in any other 2-year period of my life. No questions asked. Callie and I bought 2 rental properties here because we are connected with clients who gave us and showed us the way. I started in premium sales. I wouldn't have the opportunity if I didn't have the leaders that I have in Phoenix right now that taught me how to sell, high level products, right? And so I have leaders that believe in me. So I'm going to make sure that they know that I appreciate them, that they know that they're also not going to get off the hook because I'm going to reach back out to them. And I'm being honest about that. You're part of the family. Our VP said, like, hey, as soon as you're in the family, like, you can't get out. You might leave and go other places, but you're in. Like, you're part of the family, right? And you can't get out. And so I'm actually doubling down on that and telling all my leaders, like, you can't get out. I'm telling all my leaders that. You're stuck. I got you. You're going to stay with me. I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to continue to follow up with you. And so closing the book strong is important for me, and something that you have taught me as well in closing the book. And there's multiple ways to go about it. This is the one that I'm choosing.
Well, I appreciate the praise there, brother, and you're doing a great job. What you're doing, I believe, is the right way. All I got to say is I'm glad that they have good golf in North Carolina, because with you leaving Phoenix, leaving Arizona, I was a little nervous about where you'd maybe go next. But having some good golf in North Carolina, I think you'll be just fine.
We had
As
on the topic of golf, real quick. We
Yeah,
were now the decision was not made yet. We were telling Callie's family, and her dad's a pretty big golfer, and we had not made a decision yet. Nothing on paper. And actually, as we speak, we still don't have anything on paper. I should probably get that figured out. Which also just is crazy with this industry. I literally don't have anything on paper yet. And we already have an apartment out in Carolina and everything. So that's how much people trust in this industry. I was talking to Callie's dad, and he was like, "Hey, like, what country clubs are you going to be a member at? Where are we going golfing? Like, should we have a standing tee time?" And I'm like, "Hey, whoa. Let's take a step back. Let's get out there a little bit. I'm happy to go golfing with you. Don't get me wrong. So I'm pretty excited about that too. I heard there's some decent golf out there."
yeah, just a couple decent golf courses. That'd be great. I want to flip back two things on the Carolina side here. Put a nice bow on things in Phoenix. As you prepare for this next step, what are some actionable steps that you're doing so when you walk through the door day one in North Carolina, you're ready to crush it? What are you doing to prepare? What are some actionable steps that our listeners can even apply to a similar role or next step in their career?
Yeah, I think Callie and I right now are diving deep into making sure that we are prepared when we get there. And so there's some days and nights that we're not having fun. We're planning. And some people are like, "Oh, like, we got to go to dinner. We got to watch our show." No, some days you just got to sit down and go. And I'm very blessed that Callie is taking most of the brunt in terms of packing this place up. I don't have any of that stress. And so when we're done here, we're going to be fully there. What I'm also doing is the leaders that I have now, I'm understanding their expectations. What are your expectations when I get there? When I get there, do you want me to sit down day one and make 100 phone calls? When I get there, do you want me to take a week or a month to get into it? Right? What are your expectations? So I'm texting consistently with my VP, who will be my direct report now, and with Eric, the CRO. Like, what do you guys want me to do when I get over there? And then honestly, going in with an open mind. I've been with multiple organizations now. Every organization is different. I might have my opinions. I might have some things that I believe are the right way to do it, but it's not the organization that I've worked with anymore. And I have built myself in Phoenix. This is another thing that's tough. I built myself at Phoenix as the go-to guy for a lot of young individuals. I built myself like everybody around the office knows me. Nobody out there knows me anymore. So that gives me an opportunity to walk into a new organization and create a new name for myself. Now, I would like my name there to be the same here because I like what I've done here. But if you're someone listening who's going into an organization that maybe had a bad reputation or a new part of life or a new school, even maybe you're going to a new college, a new university, you get to create yourself again because nobody there knows you. Nobody knows your past. When we walked into Miami, only people in Miami knew Callie and I together. They didn't know me personally. When we came here, nobody knew me professionally. I didn't know anybody, right? And so I got to come here and set a tone for me. So I get to go, and Callie and I are talking about it right now, like, what habits do we want to create? We get to create new habits because there's triggers now, which are going to be in North Carolina. I'm going to sit down in my bed there. I'm not going to be able, when I wake up, the first thing out of my mind is not going to be prayer because it's not my bed. So I'm going to have to recreate habits. right? And so right now we are creating habits. We are talking about different things that we want to do. We've talked about like consistently doing Bible studies on a Wednesday or Thursday and making that a immovable object, right? We're talking about maybe Saturday footballs is the time that we get to go see Taylor and Brock, my sister and her husband, because if we don't plan those things, if we don't schedule, if we don't create habits, they're going to go by the wayside. And then being close to family is not going to mean anything because we're going to see them once every 6 months. And so creating habits right now and learning and understanding expectations from the leaders in that organization are two of the biggest things that I'm doing right now.
I love the piece on creating habits. We're real, we're raw, we're open here. That's something that I did not do well when I got to Buffalo, right? And I'm not talking professional habits because my reputation and my standard in the office has remained consistent, right? Or even improved. But you dove into when you're in your bed, the first thing you think of is not going to be prayer because it's not your bed, right? That's something you want to talk about doing hard things. You want to talk about practicing what we preach when you get to Carolina, that's going to be the first thing you have to do, right? Is do hard things, set time aside. Because when I got to Buffalo, that's not something that I did right away because I put career first and I still will, right? But being able, who's Hunter Arbogast? If you take the sports industry and remove that from Hunter Arbogast, who is he? Who's Hunter Arbogast if he doesn't work in sports? And I think as you've told me about your transition, as you just laid it out there in our conversation, you're doing the right things with Callie, with your family to make sure when you get to Carolina, Tanner Natzke's still Tanner Natzke, and I'm damn proud of you for that, brother.
I appreciate that. It's a fun process. We talked to some people at church, like, "Hey, we're moving to Carolina." Like, "Oh, when?" We're like, soon, like next week." They're like, "Whoa, that's pretty fast." Like, how'd you guys do that? It's like, listen, we were we're together, right? We're planning. We're sitting down. We're mapping out trips. We know the exact route that we're going to take to get there, right? And so we know how long it's going to take. I know when I'm going to land in each city on our drive over there. Like, I have all of this planned out, and so creating those ahead of time is going to allow us for flexibility if anything goes wrong, because things will go wrong. It also allow us to prepare for moments that we don't see coming and allow us to be blissful in the moments that we have planned out. So we're pretty excited for the move. We feel pretty blessed and called to have this new step in life.
Well, and we're very, very blessed because we're talking about moving across the country back and forth here like it's nothing. I don't want to say we're experts by any means, but specifically you and Callie now, you've done it more than once, right? I remember we got on a phone call just to catch up and see where you're at in the process. And we were talking about moving across the country and getting a shipping pod and maybe sending your vehicles and all these flights. And there's no stress behind the voice. There's no anxiousness because we've done it and we'll do it again. We know that this is not the end all be all. So it's funny in terms of our audience being able to relate. We talk about setting ourselves up for success. That's one of the ways we've done that, right? And we continue to plan and be intentional with our steps. Tanner, it's been one heck of an episode today, one heck of a story. Before we put a nice bow and wrap this thing up, I want to ask you, for Attitude Effort Results family, for our listeners, for everyone who's going to find a powerful message in your story today that you've been so gracious to share, what else do you feel compelled to share with us before we go ahead and wrap this up?
I love you guys. Like, I love this audience. I love the reason we get to tell this story is because of this platform. Honestly, that's how we got to Eric. That's why Eric called me. And so if I can challenge everybody out there is go do something that's out of your comfort zone. Go start something. We don't have millions of views on this podcast, but we get people consistently reaching out telling us it's impactful. This is just us being real and honest and telling a story. And I feel very blessed that God has given us this platform to help others. And at the end of the day, this platform helped us grow a career. And so if you're thinking about doing something out there, use this as a sign. Use this as God talking through me to you to just go do it. Go start it. Go buy a rental property. Go start a podcast. Go, referee on a Thursday night. Go play intramural somewhere. Go to Bible study with that friend who's been asking you for 6 or 7 weeks to go to Bible study or church, right? Go learn a new instrument. You've been itching to get back into the guitar because you haven't been playing guitar for 12 years and you really loved it, right? Go do that, because it's not about what everybody else thinks of you. It's the impact that you have on yourself and on others. And I feel very blessed that this podcast has given us the opportunity to have massive impact personally and for others.
I'm very proud of you, brother. I'm honored to be a part of this journey. I'm honored to be right there along your side as we continue to grow this thing and impact so many lives. The Tanner Natzke impact is real. Your character speaks for itself, brother. I love you, man.
I appreciate you. I love you too. Thanks for getting on the other side of the mic today. That
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Attitude Effort Results family. Let's inspire others and continue to grow together.
was probably fun to say,
It was awesome.
huh?